Welcome back to Rave Hackers, everyone. I'm Summer. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for returning. If you're a new subscriber, hello, welcome to my channel. Today I am so excited. I am finally getting back into the content that I love to make for you guys, which is festival and EDM related, as we all know. However, due to COVID, things have just been on a brief hiatus and pause, which, well, let's just say it's left us with a lot of extra downtime, needless to say. So I am really excited because today we are talking about the LSDrive-In Rave, which was a couple weeks ago. I finally got the chance to sit down, edit everything, make this amazing intro, so I hope you guys like it. But we are going to be talking about not only my tips and tricks for what you need to know about these types of events. I know that drive-in raves and pod raves specifically are becoming a really big thing. It's essentially just how we're able to continue social distancing and listening to live music. So to all of the amazing artists out there that are helping throw these events, that are showing up to these events, thank you so much. From I'm sure the rest of the EDM community, but specifically myself, I do really appreciate it. But if you haven't yet, go ahead, go grab your drinks. I've got mine right here, and we are going to dive into the video here in a second. All right, while you're grabbing your drinks, if you haven't yet, go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button down below. I post content essentially every Sunday inspired by the festival lifestyle and teaching you how to become a more independent adult. Essentially just trying to inspire you to live a better life and build one that you love while creating a collectively better, future for all of us in the meantime. This is like the only time I've ever been in the front. Okay, so first thing essentially that I want to talk about is going to be preparation, preparing for the event, things like that. So there are essentially a list of things that I do and check off essentially before any new event, or really before any event actually. I am going to be going more in depth in this in a video that I'm sharing next week. So like I said previously, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you'll know when that's live. But I'll go ahead and give you the high level details of kind of my nitty gritty preparation guide. So first of all, I always look at the website. This is probably the first thing that I do even before I buy tickets. Really, you just want to make sure that you know A, what you're committing to, and B, what exactly everything is included in what you're buying. After that, I always make sure that I check my confirmation email. Essentially, this means that I have bought a ticket. The confirmation emails can range depending on what ticket provider you're buying, what event you're buying, things like that. Some festival and ticket providers send a lot of emails prior to the event, some don't. For this particular rave, I'm actually really happy that I was checking my confirmation emails. We did end up having some schedule changes due to the COVID-19 restrictions. So they did send out a new confirmation email letting all of the attendees know that it was actually going to be occurring or starting an hour earlier and ending an hour earlier. Definitely really important. Also, if you don't have them, you can't get your ticket. So there's that. On top of that, I always check the weather. I know that you can't really control the weather, and essentially since you're going to a drive-in, you do have your car, but I'm pretty sure that they're not going to continue the event if it rains. So I typically start to look at things about 2 weeks out. I know that it's pretty variable at that point, but I kind of just like to know what I'm getting into and potentially prepare for the worst just in case. And then the last thing I always do is I check out my pre-event, pre-show checklist. Like I said, I'm going to have more details and my actual in-depth checklist for you all next week in the video, but this is essentially just my list of things that I always have with me. I always make sure that I grab before I head out the door or before I head to a long-term festival. Really, these are just kind of like the important pieces that I know I'm going to be kicking myself and that I'm going to regret not having if I don't have them. So like I said, if you want to know more, there's going to be another video. I'll link it up here for you guys once it is live. But let's go ahead and dive into the actual festival review so I can tell you some of the things that I really liked about the event and some things that I'm really hoping that if it comes to this point and we have drive-ins next year, hopefully things will be a little bit better and changed.
We're here!
We made it!
Front and center!
Front and center! This is like the only time I've ever been in the front.
So I really hope you guys like it. Keep an open mind. I don't know if you're newer, it might seem a little bit down tempo, but if you've been around, it'll hit that spot. So let's fucking do it.
Hey Nug, is it signed?
It's signed.
He signed it.
Can't. So
Okay, so if you are not familiar, I do essentially review all of the festivals and events that I go to. They are based on out of a 5-star system. So there's more details and nitty-gritty information over at my blog, ravehackers.com. Link down below for you guys. I'll go ahead and link you straight to the festival review page. But essentially, these are just things that I get asked about for every festival. I am going to be looking down a little bit. My iPad is down here, and I just went ahead and took some notes after the event just to make sure that I wasn't missing any. So if you see me looking down, that's what you see. But essentially, overall, I really enjoyed my experience at LSDrive-In. I gave them a 4.2 out of 5 stars. Really, for what it was, I didn't feel like there was a lot of opportunities for them to totally fuck it up, and I was very impressed with how easy and smooth things went. So first thing I always talk about is just tickets. For me, it was initially kind of hard to know that I was biting the bullet on buying 4 tickets and not just the 1 or 2 tickets that I typically buy for me and Chance. I don't know, that was just kind of my biggest issue. I just really hated that I knew that there was 2 tickets and the cost of 2 tickets that I was eating. At the end of the day, looking at the price for value, I was able to kind of get past the cost because I really miss live music. I don't think that it would be as sustainable to go to like multiple drive-ins like it is for, you know, me to go to a single night event at like the Murat or one of the locations here in Indy, where I could go almost every single week for, you know, between $12 and $35 depending on what the show was. So that's been kind of a hard adjustment for me. Granted, Indy doesn't have a lot of drive-ins. I had to drive to Chicago for this one specifically, so lucky that there's not a lot of opportunities I would have to turn down per se. I really overall felt that the price was pretty fair. Like I said, although I was gonna be eating the price of them, I did end up giving the tickets a value of 4 out of 5 stars. So that kind of gives you an idea of what that looks like. I definitely recommend trying to bring friends and going with friends if you can, just to kind of try and mitigate that cost a little bit if possible. The next section that I like to talk about is security and safety. So for me, this has kind of evolved, especially since COVID-19 has been implemented. But I don't want to say disappointed in the security, because the security teams on site were super helpful and they were super nice, and I was glad to see that there was quite a few of them in place. I ended up giving them a 3 for security explicitly because, you know, we're in our cars and there was no checks done. Like, I'm not sure if that just means that it's not feasibly possible logistically and timing wise, but it just, thinking back on it, slightly was concerning because there was no kind of security measures put in place for what people had brought into their cars, which, you know, for some people worked out really well because they brought like coolers and snacks and all of that kind of stuff, which really helps your wallet at the end of the day, considering that the price for the tickets is kind of expensive. but would have liked to see a little bit more precaution and safety measures put in place just to kind of mitigate what people might have in their cars, you know, firearms, things like that. So yeah, that was kind of my spiel on that. I felt like, you know, in terms of crowd control, I do usually try and mention that, but since people were essentially confined to their spaces, like their car spaces, there wasn't really a lot of crowd control that needed to be done. I will say that the community was super respectful. You know, I didn't notice anybody that like was continuously lingering around other groups or continuously trying to like form bigger groups. So whoever did attend this event, thank you so much for being respectful and for allowing us to continue having these opportunities, because not everybody is as lucky as us and gets to have them. So thank you in advance. In terms of the COVID-19 precautions, I was pretty happy with how everything went. Everyone was required to wear masks. Like I said, the community was pretty respectful. I didn't notice anybody that was not wearing a mask or like was encroaching on people's space that they weren't like already there with. I did like that the porta potties had tons of sanitary spaces, so you did get an opportunity to get a lot of hand sanitizer if you really wanted it. In terms of like interactions and things like that, I did get a few drinks while I was there, and the people always came up with masks. The masks were always covering their nose and their mouth like it should be, which was very appreciated. So, you know, thank you guys for being safe and courteous. It, like I said, is very appreciated. In the next section, I always like to talk about the decorations. So overall, I gave the LSDrive-In a 4 for decorations. There wasn't really a lot that you can do since everybody's parked in their cars, but I was really happy that you could see people had brought like their own LED strips and their own lights. So it was cool to look out at the crowd and see that there was people who like decorated their space. So it made it feel not necessarily like I was even at a rave, but like I was back in the festival grounds, like listening to like an after show like around all of our campsites, if that makes sense. So it was kind of a fond, like warm feeling. So I'm really happy that they were allowing people to do that. Really my only complaint was that there was these big like flyer banners that were on the stage, and they did kind of obstruct the view a little bit, which I mean at the end of the day they had really big screens on each side, so it didn't really matter, but it would have been nice to have the DJ moved up a little bit closer so that we could see them, and then have those banners taken away just so that they weren't like blowing in the wind. But like I said, overall gave them a 4 because it was really great vibes. Moving into the music section, so I ended up giving them a 5. I was super happy with how the music went. You could hear everything really well. You didn't only have to listen over your car speakers, which I've heard at other events is something that happens. So I'm really grateful that we got to have actual like an actual sound system, albeit we did bring my Camry up to Chicago with us, so we did have my sub just in case that was the case. But overall was very happy with the production level and the sound, all of that. It was so great to feel the bass again. Let me just say it was so great, so very, very happy about that. And then the venue, I gave them a 5. I was super happy overall with the venue. There weren't really a lot of complaints that I had on my end, except that there weren't a lot of clear instructions on where to wait and when to like start lining up. They said you could start lining up at 6, but there wasn't really a good area to kind of sit and wait. Overall though, it was super close to the interstate, which means that getting there and leaving was really easy. You didn't have to drive like all throughout the city, which I personally really appreciated just because it was late and we drove back to Indianapolis that night. Other thing that I liked is that the space within the venue was very well planned out. It was easy to get out of the venue once the show ended. I really expected there to be a lot more issues with people just continuing trying to back up and like with pedestrians and all of that extra stuff. But overall it was really, like I said, respectful. People were really generous and kind. It really just kind of felt like we were all packing up our, you know, campsites and getting ready to leave the festival. So, you know, it kind of brought back those fond memories of being in like in the festival grounds. So overall, like I said, gave it a 4.2 out of 5. That's kind of just the average score of all of the sections put together. I would definitely attend this event again. Like I said, I would like to see a few more security precautions put in place just to, you know that everything is a little bit more secure. But I do think that they probably had a leveled up amount of security to potentially compensate for that. But yes, all in all, an amazing time. Literally so grateful that we got the opportunity. So overall, the event was so amazing. It's been a really tough couple of months. There have been so many unknowns and so many up and downs of the industry recently that it was really nice to get back together and like feel the community again. So for those of you who have gotten the chance to attend events, I really hope that you're cherishing them and just feeling really grateful for the opportunity to even get to listen to live music again. So it felt really amazing to just kind of like bebop around to the music, not to mention that Level Up Dub played some Alison Wonderland, which was just so amazing. Literally just the universe that night was just really vibing for all of us. Although I am sad that the LSDrive-In season has already ended, I am really hopeful that something is going to pop up for the winter. We will see. I'm really hopeful that at venues we'll figure out something so that we can do things indoors, especially for the states that are a little farther up north and can't necessarily be outside anymore. Unfortunately, I haven't seen that happen quite yet, but we will see. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you haven't yet, check out the LSDrive-In page and stay tuned for more content, and make sure that you check out when their season does decide to open back up. As always, smash that like if you liked this, comment down below your favorite point, or if you have your own amazing memories and tips about going to drive-in raves. As always, new content is shared on Sundays, everything that is inspired by the festival lifestyle and getting you to be your own independent adult. Essentially, I just want to inspire you to live your best life and build one that you love while collectively building something that's great for everyone. So as always, I'll see you guys next Sunday.